Trial genuinely feels like this crime drama show because it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Besides everything he did to Cassie, this man was living a mobster life. Imagine breaking into a man's home and setting his car on fire just because your ex started dating him. His former assistant said that he once accused her of stealing his jewelry, so his bodyguard took her to do a lie detector test and told her that if she failed it, she was going to be thrown into the East River. How crazy is that? Diddy's trial genuinely feels like this crime drama show because it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Besides everything he did to Cassie, this man was living a mobster life. Imagine breaking into a man's home and setting his car on fire just because your ex started dating him. His former assistant said that he once accused her of stealing his jewelry, so his bodyguard took her to do a lie detector test and told her that if she failed it, she was going to be thrown into the East River. How crazy is that? She said that she was forced to take this lie detector test over and over again for 5 days straight. Some of his employees were constantly threatened that they were going to be if they did anything against him. She talked about a time Diddy repeatedly kicked Cassie in the back while she was on the floor, and his bodyguards just watched and did absolutely nothing. Now, this woman testified today, and she was also one of Diddy's assistants back in the day, and said that he assaulted her many times, and there was one time where he actually went inside her bedroom where she was sleeping one night and he arred her. She said that he had a rule that no one was allowed to lock the doors in the house, so one night he snuck into her room while she slept and he forced himself on top of her, and then he forced her to do oral on him. She claimed to have seen Diddy beat Cassie so bad one time that her head bled and she would just get into fetal position and literally no one would intervene. I'm not even surprised anymore with all this new information coming out about Diddy. It's just mind-boggling that it took decades for people to actually speak up. And all I'm gonna say is that it does not look good for Diddy at all.
If you would think...
Man, that's Diddy case, bro. More and more new stuff, man, comes to light with each and passing day, man. Like you said, bodyguards, all the people who was there witnessing that, they ain't doing nothing about it. It's all coming to light, bro. It's getting exposed.
Thinking about studying in America, you might want to watch out what you're posting on social media. The Trump administration has just suspended all new student visa applications at US embassies around the world. And the reason why shocked everyone. According to a leaked cable, they're suspending applications while they set up a whole new system for much deeper social media screenings of students that want to come to the United States. And the memo suggests that it's not just what you post, but they also want to be able to look at your comments, shares, likes, basically your entire online footprint across all social media platforms dating back years. Now, what specifically they're looking for isn't as clear. It's kind of just what they deem as a threat to the United States. But what we do know is earlier this year, Trump ordered social media vetting for all applicants who have been to Gaza in the last 18 years. And then that, along with the recent arrest of foreign students involved in pro-Palestinian protests, seems to indicate that they could be partly looking for posts that signal anti-Semitism or a anti-Israel rhetoric. Of course, among other things. But the question is this too far, or exactly what the majority of Americans voted for?
Facts that could save your life.
I don't know.
Make sure to keep your doors closed when you're sleeping. If there's a fire when you're sleeping, there's a huge difference between leaving your door open versus keeping it closed. If you're ever scuba diving and feel like you have to vomit, don't take the regulator out of your mouth, just vomit straight into it, because the natural inclination is to inhale after you vomit, so if you do that, you're gonna inhale a ton of water. If a service dog ever comes up to you without its owner, follow it. They could be bringing you to their owner who could potentially be in danger or need help. If you ever need to break a car window, don't hit in the center, aim for the bottom edges here. Car doors are normally tempered glass, which means they're a lot more brittle along the edges.
Wow, I never knew that. Did he just get rid of the advice? I think people will take that
People who
advice the
gained
wrong way.
real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Paget was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, two men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Ciceria was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
People have just found out about the most disturbing tribe in the entire world. Papua New Guinea is home to some of the biggest communities of tribes in the entire Earth. These communities being so off-grid, most of these people don't even really know what's going on in the outside world. The Spirit Tribe look like some of the scariest people you could ever see. But these masks which are made out of mud, and they sit here on the waterfall all day. Spirits are actually here to guard this waterfall and the water that surrounds it, as the people in this tribe believe that the spirit lives inside of the waterfall. It's also believed that anybody who swims in this water has a very fortunate and happy life. So they are there to essentially guard this from people who shouldn't be going there. Recently, there's been lots of secret footage released of these people, along with other tribes in the area. But as I say, a couple of journalists actually did manage to get into this tribe and speak to these people, and it turns out they like cigarettes, and that was the gift for them. Although these people look terrifying, and people online have been saying that these are the most cannibalistic people on Earth, they are not at all. They're actually one of the most peaceful tribes out there. Say their job is to simply protect the waterfall and protect the spirit. Do agree. They do look pretty terrifying.
Normal looking.
Yeah, they especially on those masks, bro. But he said they're the most peaceful out of all the tribes, man. But looking at those masks, that's something you wouldn't guess. Seekers, man. Would you guys have the courage to meet a tribe like that? I don't know.
Photos that have a disturbing backstory. While this picture looks like nothing but your average movie theater, it's pretty much the opposite. All of these men were German Nazi soldiers that were captured during World War II. The men were forced to watch a film about the Holocaust. They all had a variety of reactions, but most of the men were horrified by what the film depicted, as they were unaware about how violent their military truly was. This is a portrait of Maria de Hoya. Maria passed away from tuberculosis at just 21 years old, and during her illness, her doctor fell in love with her. After she passed away, her doctor kept her body and mummified it. He kept her corpse in his home for 7 years before he was finally caught and arrested.
Weird.
This is the first public sighting of Julie Chrisley since she was released from prison. Let's talk about it. It hasn't even been 24 hours yet since Todd and Julie Chrisley were released from federal prison. Since then, they've now returned home to Nashville, where they haven't left their family's side. As you can see here, Julie's hair is a lot darker now, and Chase Chrisley said he's ready for her to go back to platinum blonde. Now, it's been confirmed, Todd Chrisley hasn't lost his sense of humor since he's been in prison, and he's been seen on social media with Savannah making jokes. Now, while we haven't seen a complete photo of Todd Chrisley since his release yet, it's stated that he's been hitting the gym, and it shows. Now, this photo was taken of Julie Chrisley today as she was out and about in Nashville with her family. Now that the Chrisleys have been released, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of them in public in the coming days. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, and make sure to drop a follow for more.
We'll have to check up on that story.
5 facts you didn't know that one day could save your life. If your car ever falls into a body of water, the first thing you have to do is crack open a window or door. If you don't do this, the water pressure on your car will be too great, and you'll be effectively boxed inside your car, and you'll have to wait for your car to fully fill with water before you can get out. Next, if you're trapped in rubble, do not scream. Screaming will only strain your vocal cords and cause you to lose your voice. What you're going to want to do is grab an object and tap in intervals of 3. Rescuers will pick up on this auditory rhythm, and once you hear them coming closer to you, then you can start screaming and they'll find you. If you see a tornado that looks like it's not moving, it's coming towards you, so you better run. If you ever get into an Uber, always check the child lock. Make sure it's set to unlock, because if the child lock is on, you're stuck in the car with no way out. Finally, if you ever fall into the tracks at a subway station, don't waste your time trying to climb back out. They actually have crawl spaces built into the subway tracks that you can hide in until rescuers come and safely extract you.
Crawl space. Breaking Bad episode.
Ronald
man.
McDonald first appeared in the McDonald's ads in the 1960s, and believe it or not, he was even more terrifying back then. But people loved him. Later, Ronald was redesigned into the tall, red-haired clown that we know, that was long and lanky and seemingly made to resemble a French fry. So when did the public's opinion on Ronald turn to creepy? By 2003, the public felt uneasy looking at Ronald, so McDonald's redesigned the look into a modern feel that ran for ads in Japan. But these did not go over well. By 2014, they tried another makeover that was supposed to be more of a hipster vibe. But again, these didn't land very well. People did not feel comfortable with this version of Ronald. Between failed reinventions and health societies saying that McDonald's was using a clown to try to market to younger audiences, they eventually fully retired the creepy mascot of Ronald McDonald.
I remember as the kid seeing Ronald McDonald, but getting older.
How rare is your body? Let's find out. Only about 6% of people can vibrate their eyes back and forth. And your eyes aren't actually vibrating, it just looks like it because they're moving back and forth extremely quick. Only about 18% of people can wiggle both their ears, and 22% can wiggle just one ear. And it's believed that this could be inherited, but it can also be learned with practice. Only 3% of people have an X on both their palms, and in palm reading, this is normally regarded as a sign of a strong character. About 4% of people have Cupid's bow's lips, and Cupid's bow is the name of the lip shape when your lip comes to two distinct points at the top and then meet in the middle. About 80% of people are affected by acne at one point in their life. Acne is most common in teenagers, but it can appear any point in your life, and about 20% of people have very severe acne. Only about 1% of people are ambidextrous, and this is when you have no preference over your right or left hand. Only about 4% of people have a clubbed thumb, and this is just when you have a shorter thumb, and doctors don't know exactly what caused it, but it's believed to be congenital.
3 scary movies that were based on real stories, and the third one is absolutely insane. Scream just made yet another resurgence of the franchise as kind of the campy classic in the horror genre. But this whole franchise actually has some truth behind the original concept, as it was inspired by the Gainesville Ripper of Florida, who took the lives of 5 students seemingly for no motive other than just to gamify the killings. He even posed the bodies so that when others found them, it was horrifying. Child's Play is a movie that I would have never imagined to have had some truth behind it, but the original concept that inspired the script was actually based on Robert the Doll, which was gifted to a child in the early 1900s by a woman who practiced voodoo, and people claimed this doll could walk and talk on its own. Open Water is a nightmare concept of a couple that gets left behind on a boating tour in shark-infested waters. But this exact scenario did happen to a real-life couple who were also left in shark-infested waters.
They made it too? Wow. Hey guys, and did y'all hear, man, about how they said the Annabelle doll is missing?
So with the amount of people that pass away in hospitals, it's no surprise that they're reportedly full of a lot of paranormal activity. Some people even say that when there are many deaths occurring in a certain area, portals are opened up. And as these souls exit this world, other things, entities, creep in. A nurse who wants to remain anonymous said that she used to work in a skilled nursing facility. She was usually assigned the Alzheimer's ward. One night, she was in the linen room stocking her cart and she heard someone shuffle up behind her. Then, she said she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around and there was no one else in the room. A female patient started to complain that there was a man coming into her room late at night. Anonymous said that she was in the Alzheimer's ward, so she didn't think much of it. To reassure the patient, she told her that she would come check on her throughout the night. She complained of this man every night for 2 more weeks. The nurse finally asked her to describe him, and the patient said, "He's real handsome, and he wears a black suit. Oh, and he's right behind you now, honey." The nurse said that this freaked her the F out. Of course, there was no one behind her. The patient died the next night in her sleep. So these nurses and doctors really do have a lot of great supernatural stories, and I don't know what to think about that one, because she was, like she said, in an Alzheimer's ward, and Alzheimer's patients can hallucinate. But the nurse did say that when she heard someone shuffle up behind her, she also felt a hand on her shoulder. And I don't know, guys, this story is pretty creepy. The patient described the man as being in all black, yet very handsome. I know that the Grim Reaper is conventionally described as being in like a hooded cloak, but could this have been the Grim Reaper? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
This is the scariest
about
thing
that
that could ever happen to you on the entire planet. Imagine living your entire life only to realise that it was all fake. This is 100% true and could happen to you. Time is relative. And if you're dreaming, it could actually only be 5 minutes in the real world, but it could feel like a whole day in the dream world, right? You've probably had a dream like that. So a while back, a young boy went to school. And this particular day, he was out in the playground and he got into a fight with some of the bullies there. It was quite a hefty fight. He got punched in the face, knocked down to the ground, but just managed to pick himself back up. After that, he decided to leave from the school because it was quite bad. Went to a new school and just carried on his life. He ended up being a very successful businessman, owning multiple businesses, having, you know, the dream life. 2 kids, all the dream cars, dream house, going on nice holidays every year, everything you could imagine. Till one day when it all changed. The guy was now in his 50s, so he'd lived his entire life, really, and had everything he ever wanted. And one night, laying on the couch watching TV with his family, he stared over at the light on the other side of the room, and he noticed it just looked strange. It didn't look like it had done before. It was almost blurry. It just didn't make any sense. And he became fixated on this every single day, every single night. He would sit there and stare at this lamp, trying to figure out what was going on with it, because it was almost 2D, and it just didn't make any sense. That was when the realization came that the lamp was never there. The lamp wasn't even real. His life flashed before his eyes, and the young boy then woke up on the playground after being beaten up by the bully. He was knocked out from the fight, and his mind had literally created this whole life just in his head in that 5 minutes where he was knocked out, but it felt like an entire life to him. So he woke up and was asking people, where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my car? What's going on? Everybody laughed at him. It was just like, you're literally a 10-year-old in school. What's going on? But this is genuinely real. This has actually happened to people, especially people who have been in comas. So what's to say we're not dead right now and our minds are just creating this whole life that's not even real?
Day 12 of Diddy's trial, and a former assistant testifying under the pseudonym Mia took the stand today. She claimed that during her time working for Diddy from 2009 to 2017, he sexually assaulted her multiple times. Mia described a toxic work environment, claiming she had to be on call 24/7, couldn't lock her bedroom door, and was forced to stay awake for 5 days straight. She also said that Diddy had thrown things at her, thrown her against the wall, thrown her into a pool, and slammed her arm into a door. She recalled witnessing him physically abuse Cassie, including an incident where he allegedly slammed her head into a bed frame. A reminder that Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Follow the Trial of Diddy podcast for more updates.
So the real Annabelle doll, the cursed, demonic Annabelle doll that belonged to a little girl, is missing. This doll was safely kept in Ed and Lorraine's Warren Museum, and then it was supposed to leave for a tour in the state of Chicago. Why? Why are we playing with fire? Why are we exposing innocent lives to demonic beings? People say in New Orleans, apparently in the place the doll went missing, 10 prisoners escaped prison, multiple places caught fire, and hundreds of people were involved in very bad car accidents. Is it involved or related to that doll being missing? Personally, I don't think so. But I'm also not sure. What I do know is that there is definitely a jinn that is attached to this doll. And this jinn caused a lot of pain to whoever possessed this doll. Jinns are very capable of causing chaos. I really hope this doll is missing. I really hope. And to be honest, I really hope that it's in the hands of a Muslim. Because only a Muslim can end this nightmare once and for all. Because the Muslim will take this doll, cleanse it, and then burn it. The Quran is the only thing that can dismantle every demonic aspect that the Annabelle doll carries. Annabelle is not supposed to be around us. And you, out of all people, you guys, you are not supposed to pay money to put your life in danger by going near things such as the Annabelle doll.
Hey man, like I said, I won't pay to be around those speaking demonic vultures either. Like I said, that's crazy. How did the dog go missing? They said they were transporting it. To me, it feels like an inside job, man, because there's no way that dog can go missing. And the coincidence, all this stuff is happening, man. Like I said, you can't prove it's that, but that's what it looks like. That's how it was lining up.
Unsettling videos that will give you the chills. A woman who lived alone decided to record her pantry door at night. Her reasoning for this is that every morning when she woke up, the door would somehow be open, and her camera captured the door somehow opening on its own. She continued to record her door every night and captured multiple videos of the door opening by itself. And the creepiest part about this is that the door opened every single night at 12:34 a.m. This next clip was taken by a security camera in the playroom of an old couple's home. The footage shows multiple toys being played with in the middle of the night, but no one's in the room. And there were only two people inside the home, the man and the woman. The camera captured all sorts of toys moving on their own, and this rocking chair doing this. Could this be a ghost caught on camera or just a prank? Comment below.
Okay. So I just got out of the theater watching Bring Her Back and oh my god. There is a lot to unpack with this movie, so I'll try to make it brief with no spoilers. After recently losing their father, brother and sister Andy and Piper move into a brand new house with their foster mother. And if I'm being so for real, that's really all I want to say about the plot, because you just want to see how this entire thing unfolds. In a very similar vein to Talk to Me, not the exact same movie, it's very different, but hits some of the same beats. We roll into another well-written horror movie that not only destroys you with the amount of scares, but absolutely pummels you with the emotional damage that you're gonna feel watching this movie. And just like Talk to Me, it's everything scary. Suspense, body horror, absolute dread throughout the entire thing. And personally, what I feel one of the best jump scares I've seen in a long time. But with those same amount of tensive scares, you also get this really insane story about loss, love, and the lengths that a parent will go to just do whatever they can for their children, whether it be for the better or the worst. This is not going to be the scariest movie you've ever watched, but at the same exact time, this is going to make some people super uncomfortable. Especially with the body horror. There's some great body horror, really good body horror, but it's gonna bother some people. I can think of one scene, it involves a cantaloupe, but I love the fact that it is a very well-written movie with grounded characters with actual grounded emotional baggage that a lot of people can relate to and are gonna have a hard time watching because they're gonna reference back to their own problems in the world. But even if you're really not into horror, I'd recommend sitting through this one. It is absolutely worth it. The two brothers, directors that Talk to Me, they've done it again. I give them a lot of props for this one. Go see Bring Her Back in theaters. It is an excellent film, and good luck.
His ex-girlfriend shot him on a staircase after he was coming to the apartment to pick up his belongings in Houston, Texas. The guy was coming over to pick up the rest of his stuff. He was moving out. They broke up. They were dating. Neighbors heard arguments happening. Very crazy arguments, and then a gunshot rang out. It got super loud and aggressive. Police came to the scene, pronounced the guy dead, and the ex-girlfriend, Derica Ross, age 24, was arrested on the scene after she confessed to the killing. Sheriff said he could not be saved. He had a single gunshot wound to the head that killed him instantly. He was only 22 years old. His name was Jayvon Williams. Now, like I said, the girlfriend Derica Ross confessed at the scene. She was arrested immediately and put into a prison. Her bond is now $150,000. She has been charged with murder, and right now it's unclear if she's entering a plea deal or not because this just happened on Sunday. It remains unclear what exactly the argument was about and why it got so violent so quickly that led to this man's death, but they're still investigating it and interviewing her. Very sad story, and this couple is young. She was 24, he was 22. If you're from Houston, have you heard about the story? Let me know your general thoughts in the comments, guys.
Life ended, man, just because, life's over because they couldn't properly end a relationship, man. Those toxic relationships. 24 and 22. That's just a shame. Where are you running from?
Her life was taken while delivering Girl Scout cookies. This is Marsha Virginia Trimble. She was born on March 28th of 1965 and was living in Nashville, Tennessee. Marsha loved exploring outdoors. She loved roller skating around her neighborhood, but one of her favorite things was being a member of the Girl Scouts. I'm sure many of you know that Girl Scouts always sell their Girl Scout cookies every single year, and this is something that Marsha would look forward to. Although it is a fundraising activity, Marsha liked this because it gave her a chance to meet people in the community. She could donate to a cause that she believed in, and it gave her skills to be an entrepreneur. February 25th of 1975, around 5:10 p.m., Marsha was at home with her mother while she was making dinner. Just before the family was going to sit down for dinner, Marsha told her mother that she was going to quickly deliver some Girl Scout cookies to the Maxwells, who lived right across the road from them. Marsha put her coat on, she was holding a cardboard box with the cookies inside, and she also had her little envelope with her money inside, and she headed out the door. As Marsha was walking down the driveway, Miss Maxwell had just returned home from grocery shopping when she noticed that Marsha was holding her cookie box. Miss Maxwell went inside to quickly write a check for Marsha for the cookies that she had ordered, but when she went outside, Marsha never came by. Back at Marsha's home, dinner was now ready, and Marsha's mom was wondering where she was, so she went outside to see if she was in the front yard, couldn't find her. She tried yelling her name out loud, and nothing. Around 7 p.m., Marsha's father called a friend who was a police detective to ask him what they could do about their missing daughter, and he told them to just ride around the neighborhood to see if they could spot her. They had no luck, so Marsha's father called his friend once again, and his friend ended up coming towards the house, and once he realized the gravity of the situation, state and local police started the investigation. The FBI soon joined to the possibility of kidnapping. Even though there were searches being conducted within the area, Marsha was nowhere to be found. That evening, Marsha's sudden disappearance made it onto the news. At the time, Oprah Winfrey was a television reporter, and she showed up at Marsha's home wanting to interview her parents, but they did decline. Days turned into weeks, and still there was no trace of Marsha. That was until 33 days later on Easter Sunday when a man was looking for a boat engine cover in a garage that belonged to his relatives. He saw a girl's legs underneath some clutter, and at first he thought maybe it was a doll, so he poked it with a stick, and that's when he realized that he had just found the body of the missing child just 80 yards away from where she was last seen. Investigators believe that Marsha had been lured into a garage and unalived there. An autopsy report revealed that she had passed away due to strangulation, and she was SA'd. Police believe that the murderer was a local resident, and they turned their attention to 15-year-old Jeffrey Womack, and he was one of the last people to see Marsha alive. Marsha had visited Jeffrey's home to sell some cookies, but he had sent her away when he did not have enough money to buy them. Jeffrey stated that once he found out about Marsha's disappearance, he went to her family's home to talk to police and tell them what he knew, and when he got there, they were questioning him aggressively and made him empty out his pockets. When he emptied his pockets, they found a half roll of pennies, $5 bill, and a condom. Jeffrey had passed 2 polygraph tests, but in 1980, authorities ended up arresting him. However, he was released due to lack of evidence. DNA samples were taken, and due to the advancement in DNA technology, on June 6 of 2008, 60-year-old Jerome Sidney Barrett was indicted on murder charges. He had been convicted for other essays against women and children during the time of Marsha's murder, and he had been working in her neighborhood. While Jerome was in jail, he admitted that he unalived Marsha while he was having an altercation with another jail inmate. On July 18th of 2009, Jerome was found guilty of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 44 years
by this person who he thought was a woman. In 2023, this 26-year-old Indonesian man named AK met Adinda Kansa on Instagram, where they hit it off and eventually met in person and started their relationship.
Catfish.
Throughout their relationship, Adinda wore a hijab that covered her head, her face, except for her eyes because of her religion. A year later, they got married and had a very small ceremony with only AK's family attending, and Adinda's family was not there because she said that her entire family had passed away. After they tied the knot, AK became extremely suspicious of his new wife because she constantly avoided any intimacy and was always making excuses. But also, AK said that Adinda was wearing her hijab at home at all times, so at this point he knew that she was hiding something. He then began searching for any information he could find on his wife, and that's when he found her old address, and when he went to go visit that home, he found her parents, which she said were dead. The parents told AK that Adinda is actually a man, and they had no idea that they got married. Adinda was arrested, and after an investigation was done, it was determined that he intended to marry AK so that he can steal his family's assets. Adinda was charged with fraud, and if convicted, he faces up to 4 years in prison.
Whatever you guys think that should be the fate for all catfishes out there, man? Because that's basically what it was. We're gonna call a spade for a spade. That was a catfish. Like, how the hell? But how did he let it go that far, man? He got married to him and he didn't even know. That's mind blowing, man. You're going out with somebody, man, you gotta do your research nowadays. That's crazy.
You never go searching for this video. These 5 friends were forced to kill each other by the Mexican cartel. These 5 young, aged from 19 to 22, were looking for some sort of employment, and they were promised a high-paying job at a call center. But when the alleged contact was taking them to meet the people for the job, it actually turned out to be a whole scheme to recruit them to the Mexican cartel. And when all 5 of these boys said they didn't want to join, the cartel then said okay and tied them up, taped their mouth and took a picture, and then recorded one of the friends killing all the other 4 friends. And after that, they put the 5th one, who just killed all of his friends, into a car and set it on fire. I am telling you right now, do not go searching for this video because you will find it. And trust me, you do not want to see something like this. This case is absolutely horrific, and the fact that this happens way more often than we think is just extremely scary and disturbing. It's just sad that these young men were just trying to get a job and make some money for themselves. But instead, it turned into a living nightmare. Rest in peace, these 5 young men.
Here's one more reason to be terrified of the ocean. Of course, it's scary when the sea is stormy, but according to Japanese legend, you should be more afraid of calm waters. Because that is when the umibozu is said to rise from the deep. This ghostly, pitch-black figure will not only scare you into a state of shock, but it will then throw you overboard and drown you in the sea.
It is criminal that no one knows what this guy is doing right now. A man is attempting to become the first person ever to walk the entire length of the United States barefoot. He started his over 5,000 kilometer walk in February, and as you'd imagine, his feet have already taken an absolute battering. He's already had to walk through snow, which he says was so cold that it makes every pebble feel like you're walking over a Lego brick. But if the cold wasn't bad enough, he will soon have to walk through the Midwestern summer heat, which will easily reach temperatures of over 100 degrees. And because of that, similar to Russ Cook running through the Sahara, he says that he's going to have to walk overnight because during the day, the paving will just be too hot. He's almost been hit multiple times by massive semi-trucks not paying attention and pushing him off the road. The nerve endings on his feet are so bruised from stepping on rocks that it keeps him up at night. He's had really bad infections that haven't had enough time to heal, because if he does take days off and doesn't make it to New York before the winter, he is screwed. And the part which just blows my mind, he's doing all of this to raise awareness for men's mental health. Despite this amazing cause and what he's putting himself through, he has only 139 followers on TikTok and only 412 on YouTube. I mean, that should be illegal. He's got about 6 months of walking left to do. So please, let's show this man some support and push him through.
That's crazy, man. He's doing that for a good cause, and hopefully, man, just catches some fire, catches some heat, so more people are aware of that. Barefoot, too? That's a different type of breed right there, man.
Have you heard the creepy story behind this photo?
What?
She's been named the Expressionless. Well, the story takes place in June of 1972. Hospital employees were very shocked and scared when this woman entered the hospital wearing a blood-soaked gown. What was terrifying is that she had no emotion on her face. When the doctors went to sedate her to see what was wrong, she started to fight back. This is her in that very moment. Now, this is a creepypasta, but some believe that this photo is actually true and that this is a real creepy-ass woman. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Photos from his...
This is a real sign in a city called Davao in the Philippines, and there's a lot of history behind it. Now, as you can see in the sign, it says, "Waving children, please wave back," with a pair of children with their arms up. This sign serves as a warning to everyone passing by that there are ghosts of children in the area. It's believed there's a ton of supernatural activity all around the area, and if you don't wave back, these children will come and haunt you. Upon researching the story, I haven't found anyone reporting that they haven't waved back to any of the children. I've only heard accounts of people waving back and then being okay afterwards. So with that information in my head, I can only assume the worst happens if you don't wave back. So obviously, if you're traveling in the Philippines and you see a child wave to you, wave back for your own safety. The last thing you want is a ghost child following you and haunting you for the rest of your life. Let me know what you guys think about this. I also covered a video on the Aswang, which is another Filipino urban legend. Very scary stuff. Definitely go check that out. And if you have any suggestions, let me know.
You guys waving back, man? Nah, I wouldn't want no ghosts, no spirits, bad energy, juju following me, so I'll have to wave back. I don't need that following me around.
This is a true horrifying story, part 32. In parts 25, 26, and 27, I warned you all about the most dangerous book that was ever written, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book is a portal to the world of jinns and demons. There's a person that read this book, and this person faces traumatic incidents every single day. She's a woman from Jordan. She graduated university being the top graded student. She is a genius. She has read hundreds of novels. She had a strong passion for books. She heard about this book called Shams al-Ma'arif. She couldn't live knowing that there's a book that has a strong story behind it without reading it. After many months of trying to find the real copy of this book, she heard about an old man that lives in Jordan that had an ancient copy of Shams al-Ma'arif. She got in touch with him, and he refused to sell the book, but she didn't quit. It took her many weeks to finally buy the book off of him. She goes back home and immediately starts reading the book. After she read the first few chapters of the book, she felt kind of hungry, so she decided to go to the kitchen and prepare some food and then continue reading. As she goes into the kitchen, she opens the oven and a gale of fire burns her face. She spent 3 weeks in the burn unit rehabilitation. The oven was switched off. No one knows till this day where the flames came from. She had multiple plastic surgeries to recover her facial features, but till this day, her face is not what it used to be. After recovery, she goes home weeks later and she looks for the book, knowing that the jinn was the reason she was harmed. She tried to find the book for many days, but it was lost. Years go by. She was home watching TV one day. She came across an Islamic channel that had a live interview program. An old man was being interviewed on this channel. He was asked by the imams about the dangers of a black magic book that he owns. His body was very unusual and his face was burned off. He got a book from under the table and he said this: "I once sold this book to a young woman a long time ago, and the demons warned me not to stop my rituals, and if I gave the book away, they would burn my face and they would burn hers. And after I gave the book, I woke up the next day without my normal face. And the book I sold to that woman was right there laying next to me on bed. I knew that it was the jinns that brought the book back to me. And this is when I strengthened my iman and I quit black magic." Quote, this was all said on TV, and the poor girl was just standing there, watching the same man speak. The man on TV was the man that gave her the book. The book he showed on TV was the book he handed to her. That was the book that was lost. The book that she was looking for.
Damn, it sounded like she got tempted by that knowledge. She just couldn't turn it down. Look what happened. Like some bad spirits was following her. Like the book, the part I'm trying to figure out is how the book, like it just went back to the man's house. Did he take it back, or was it just there the next day? That's something to think about.
This is Tragedy by the Sea, one of the most disturbing and sad photos of all time. Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, a Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking. Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled "Tragedy by the Sea," appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now, take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
Let's talk
Truly
about this
is.
picture. Captured in 2008 by Daniel Young, this is one of the only pieces of evidence that this encounter actually happened. So Daniel was a custodian at Myrtle Elementary School where he worked the night shift. It's a pretty routine night. He's just listening to music when he's suddenly interrupted by the sound of a woman's laughter. He turned around and was terrified when he saw an unknown woman smiling from behind the corner. This was a locked school on after hours, so clearly she was an adult who broke in, so he tried to snap a picture to identify her and then chases after her. But when he turned the corner, she had already darted out of an emergency exit. Later that night, police are called to a home where they arrive at a tragedy. An unknown woman had broken into a nearby home where she knifed two parents, one who was the principal of this school, so brutally they were unrecognizable. One of the daughters who witnessed this woman before she got away described her as this person. Could this photo be of the same unknown woman? And what her connection is to the school and the principal, we don't know.
Most disturbing videos in the world. Episode 6. This picture contains a list of disturbing videos from the least scary to the most. This will be my scariest series ever. Welcome to tier 7 because we skipped a couple of them. And honestly today we're gonna skip directly to tier 10. The first video is titled Funky Town. This video single-handedly could be the worst video the internet has ever had. Now obviously I can't show the video here, but I can tell you everything you need to know about it. And please remember, don't look this up. Trust me. It shows a man, getting executed, in which they remove the man's face all while he's still alive. And lots of other stuff start happening. And in the background of the video, the song Funky Town starts playing. You know this song? Yeah, that one. Make sure to like and follow because I start my brand new series tomorrow.
Those videos, man, where they always have to like break it down and explain. There's always chilling, man, and I take them at their word. I never looked it up because I don't need that in my mind. But the way they break it down with the details, especially about Sebastian on Tank 22, we know, man. Crazy how people can even do that to another human being. Edit, man. You guys, I want to see y'all guys call out the edits, man, down below as well. If y'all guys can spot them out, because I might miss some too. Y'all can correct me, man. We all a community, yo.
This is the disturbing moment. This woman laughed in court after she took this 3-year-old's life in a random attack. On June 3rd, police received numerous phone calls about a stabbing at a grocery store parking lot in Ohio. At around 3 p.m. on this day, 38-year-old Margot Wood was loading groceries into her car while her 3-year-old son, Julian, sat in his car seat. That's when 32-year-old Bianca Ellis entered the car and began stabbing the little boy. When Margot noticed, she tried to stop the attacker, and as a result, she was also wounded. Julian was then rushed to the hospital where he unfortunately passed away. Now, what's disturbing was that this was a random attack, and after looking at surveillance footage, the attacker was seen following the mother and the child in and out of the grocery store. Then, when Bianca was brought into court, the judge began reading out the indictment, and she was seen smiling and laughing the entire time. And after an assessment was done on Bianca, they're arguing that she has bipolar disorder and had a psychotic break, which explains why she did what she did. And this story only gets crazier. Before this incident, Bianca confessed to another murder in Bakersfield, and she even gave details of what she did with this person's body. She also warned officers that if she wasn't arrested, she was going to murder someone and eat their flesh. But none of this was taken too serious, and she was released from the mental institution, and not long after, she committed this heinous crime.
So, let's talk about the most disturbing animated film ever made that has been banned all over the world. 1992's Midori. Our main character is 12-year-old Midori. After her mother becomes extremely ill, she is tricked into joining a traveling circus. And these are some of the fine people that she is surrounded by every day. The film contains a lot of very explicit scenes of violence and other things towards young Midori. The film is also known for its animal content. When it was originally released, Midori was banned all over the world, including in its own home country of Japan. And I can definitely see why. I'm not kidding when I say this is probably the most graphic, strange, animated film that has probably ever been made. And this is most certainly not a film for a lot of people. It's a film I really don't feel like I can recommend, but there are lots of very interesting discussions around the morality of this film. And if you've seen this film, I'd love to know what you guys think of it.
Hell no, I didn't even know that film existed. It really was banned all around the world.
The man you just saw walking in that video was pedophile Jeffrey Doucette. Jeffrey was a 25-year-old karate instructor. Jeffrey Jeffrey gave karate lessons to young boys, and it's assumed that he did this to gain access to children because he was a pedophile. Now, at some point along the way, Jeffrey met the son of a man named Gary Plauche. Gary was a very protective father who loved his son dearly. And when Gary eventually found out that Jeffrey had been molesting his son for over a year, he was righteously angry. But Gary just wasn't going to let this slide. You see, for a year, Gary had trusted Jeffrey to take care of his son and teach him karate. But at one point, Jeffrey had abducted his son, taken him to a motel in Anaheim, California, and did absolutely unspeakable things to him. So that leads us to the infamous televised incident. On that day, Jeffrey was flown to Louisiana to face trial. There was a news team there waiting for him at the airport for when he arrived into the state, but there was somebody else waiting for Jeffrey there as well, Gary Plauche. I can't show you the full clip, obviously, but Gary was waiting for Jeffrey to walk down the hallway, and when he walked by him, he pulled out a handgun and shot Jeffrey, the man who molested his son, directly in the head. Afterwards, Gary gave himself up, dropped the gun, and he was initially charged with second-degree murder. But he entered a plea bargain and pled no contest to the manslaughter charges. He was then sentenced to 7 years of a suspended sentence, with 5 years of probation and 300 hours of community service, meaning that Gary spent no extended time in prison for the murder of the pedophile. To this day, people still sell merchandise with Gary Plauche all over it, as he has become a folk hero of sorts to people that hate pedophiles. If you want to hear more stories like this, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available to listen to now on all streaming platforms.
The more you know. I never knew they sell merch about that incident. I guess he was a hero in some people's eyes, man, because you know we don't condone that over here, but that's an insane story.
The person you just saw in that video was former elected official and pedophile Stacy Marie Lofton. Stacy was the first openly transgender person elected to a state legislature anywhere in the United States. And people at the time in New Hampshire who elected Stacy thought that this was extremely radical. They were proud that they were inclusive and that they were giving power to an underrepresented population. However, Stacy would go on to do some terrible things. Because you see, in 2023, Stacy would be arrested and charged with possession of CP or CSAM. I still don't know the exact connection, but Stacy was arrested as well as this woman, a 38-year-old woman named Lindsay Groves. Now, Lindsay worked at a place called Creative Minds Early Learning Center in Massachusetts, where she worked closely with children. And apparently, Lindsay would use the bathroom breaks during the children's school day to take photographs of them. Photographs of them in compromising positions with no clothing on. Lindsay would then send these photos to the person she was in a relationship with, and I guess somehow some of those photos ended up in Stacy's possession. Now, I don't know what happened to Stacy after all of this, but I do know that it was reported that Stacy went to a prison for men. And yeah, this is just some really disturbing stuff. If you want to listen to more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife Courtney, Murder in America. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
It's always people in those positions, man. Power.
Number 10 is Saddam Hussein. We all remember Saddam. Number 9, Kim Jong-il, who is the uncle and the former leader of Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and he was even worse than Kim Jong-un. Like, even though Kim Jong-un is bad, like we got to step up from Kim Jong-il. I remember reading that he once fed his family to dogs. Number 8 is Genghis Khan, the guy, you know, the Mongolia Chinese wall, the Great Wall of China, forced everybody to do that.
Ooh.
Number 7, Heinrich Himmler, one of the right-hand men in the Nazi Party, was just all around evil. Number 6, Pol Pot, terrible man, maybe was one of the most ruthless killers in history. Number 5, Mao Zedong, the terrible emperor of China. Number 4, Osama bin Laden, the fool who committed 9/11 and went in hiding, and then we all forgot about him until Obama was like, we're actually going to go get him now, and I was like, thank God. Number 3, Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler is the basis for the character of Dracula. His middle name was Dragula, and he was known for impaling his victims on sticks and posing them in front of the castle. Number 2, Joseph Stalin, who was the leader of Russia during World War II, and he was basically one of the most ruthless killers as well. He had concentration camps for the Russians that didn't support him, and millions of people died under him. If you like this list or want more lists about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with the most evil person in history in your book. Also follow my Instagram and fiance Samantha, who I've tagged. Number 1, I can't even say his name on TikTok, but we all know who it is. Evil Austrian mustache man.
Think twice before you answer the door on Halloween night. On Halloween night in 1984, a pregnant mom named Doreen Herbert heard the doorbell ring. She opened the door to find someone in a wolf mask holding a machete. This was like a scene straight out of a horror movie, and she was viciously slaughtered in front of her 4-year-old daughter. Special attention had been made to harm the fetus as well, and it was found under this chair. Luckily, when the attack started, her daughter hid behind the couch, and then the man in the wolf mask paced around the house looking for her. The man in the mask shouted that if she said anything, he was going to come back and kill her too. Crime scene investigators noticed a trail of blood leading from the house down the sidewalk and across the freeway to a nearby neighborhood. This attack happened shortly after her husband left to go to the store, and he came home just a few minutes after she died. But luckily, officers did their due diligence. Looking into Doreen's past, they found out she had a tumultuous marriage with her ex-husband, Michael Dennis. And they actually had a child that drowned under Doreen's supervision in 1980. 2 years later, this distraught ex sued Doreen for the death of their child, but lost in court. And just hours after the murder, the police paid a visit to Michael Dennis. He was calm and collected and gave consent to search, but as he reached out to sign the form, they noticed a gash on his hand. He said he got this injury from carving pumpkins the day before, but they noticed that the blood was still clotting. He began to walk detectives up towards his bedroom and lunged towards the bed. And they were luckily able to tackle him before he grabbed his revolver. And also inside the house, they found blood near the washing machine, and blood was all over his car door handle and steering wheel.
Caught him.
His past girlfriend also said that the previous Halloween, he went to a party wearing a wolf mask, pictured here. Michael Dennis was charged for the death of Doreen and her unborn child. And due to the brutality, he was actually given the death penalty. Michael Dennis had never moved on and hated Doreen for finding love and having another. And I have to say, if you've lost a child, Halloween is probably a really difficult day to look outside and see kids running around everywhere. But that does not excuse his actions. Let me know what case you want me to cover next, and follow for more true crime.
It is wild. This is actually happening. Celebrities are now losing thousands of followers in an unprecedented TikTok trend where people are deliberately blocking the rich and famous so that they lose their sponsorships, their brand deals, and ultimately money. And you know what? It's working. So here's how the blockout trend started, and more interestingly, why. This is Hailey Bailey. She's a model and a content creator, and she doesn't know it yet, but she's about to trigger a massive digital revolution against the world's celebrities and herself, all with one video.
Let them eat cake. Here, take the bomb.
But to understand why what she did here caused so much outrage, we need to go back to the 1800s. I'm not even joking. The Queen of France in 1774 has somehow triggered a massive revolution on TikTok in 2024. Marie Antoinette was actually the last queen before the French Revolution, because at a time where the country was in extreme debt and the people were living in poverty and famine, Marie was seen living a lavish lifestyle and spending huge amounts of money on unnecessary things. For example, she was best known for her extreme looks and love for fashion. Her annual clothing budget alone was equivalent to today's $3.6 million. That's $300K a month. But ironically, what she is most remembered for is the time that she was told that the public were starving and they didn't have enough bread to eat, to which she replied, "Let them eat cake." And I say it's ironic because it's believed that she never actually even said this. Regardless, the public's anger grew and led to a revolution and ultimately her execution. So back to 2024 when Hailey Bailey dressed up as Marie Antoinette and used a trending sound saying "let them eat cake" while outside the Met Gala, where tickets cost more than the average down payment for a house. She quickly became the modern Marie Antoinette and triggered the blockout revolution. Now since then, she has apologized and said she didn't know the implications of that quote before she used it. And while the anger started with just her video, with one of the top comments saying "we're giving you the Marie Antoinette experience," it quickly grew to all of the celebrities that attended that event and beyond. The Hunger Games societal disparity became the movement theme, with hundreds of people commenting "watching from District 12." Creators have started making videos showing off their own daily celebrity block lists, and the people who join the trend say that the movement is It's simple. Just like how the French people's taxes were funding Antoinette's lavish lifestyle while they starved, today the public's attention is often what funds these celebrities' lifestyles. And so people say if they're using this attention money similar to Antoinette on massive unnecessary displays of wealth, or while people around the world struggle and starve, that attention and therefore money will be removed. And that's how and why the block trend started. So the question is, do you agree with this trend, or are people taking it?
Stop using your phone when you sit on the toilet. A 24-year-old man from China became paralyzed from sitting on the toilet for too long. He was watching videos on his phone while he sat on the toilet until his family became concerned as to why he was taking so long in there. After 30 minutes, someone came in to check on him and found him on the floor unconscious, and he was rushed to the hospital. At this point, he was already paralyzed. The doctor said that he was in the same sitting position for a long time, which limited his blood circulation in his body. Also, the air circulation in the bathroom wasn't the greatest due to the enclosed space, so when he suddenly stood up, the lack of oxygen to his brain caused him to pass out. But this isn't the first time something like this happened. Another man in China had to be rushed to the hospital when he noticed a ball-sized lump fall out of his anus while he sat on the toilet. It turns out that was his rectum, which was caused by the fact that he sat on the toilet for too long. So doctors have said that when you don't focus on doing number 2, this can lead to constipation, which causes strain and pressure down there. So moral of the story, let's start leaving our phones outside the bathroom.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna need you guys. That's a warning sign, man. Don't use your phone in the bathroom, man. We all been guilty of it, including me, but I update my life, man, with these facts, so we won't be doing that anymore.
Things happening in the world right now. Champagne sales are down 15% in 2024, and multiple champagne executives have said that people are just not celebrating as much. This dog went in for a teeth cleaning and was spayed instead. These astronauts were only supposed to be in space for 8 days and now have to stay in space until next year because of new safety concerns. A new study came out and said that when Barbie learned what a gynecologist was, millions of other people did as well. It was recently revealed that this US woman who was tied to a tree in the middle of the forest in India tied herself to it. New research is suggesting that mayonnaise may help us develop perfect nuclear fusion. Remote work is to blame for Google's struggles with AI, according to the former CEO. This man was given 40 sausage rolls for 40 years of service at his job. This woman in her 70s was fired from Home Depot after failing to stop a customer from using a suspicious card to spend over $5,000 in fraudulent charges.
Weird Nature
How's she gonna stop that?
Part 26. The Blue American Rabbit was developed in 1917 by Louis H. Salisbury. Although it's natural, he never revealed what breeds he used to create this variety. In 1998, Honduras built a bridge over the Choluteca River, but the water was rerouted by Hurricane Mitch that same year. This mutated octopus with 85 tentacles was captured on an island near Japan. Known for its protrusible jaw and nail-like teeth, the goblin shark has only been seen about 50 times since its discovery in 1897. In 1493, Christopher Columbus mistook manatees for mermaids and wrote, "They're not so beautiful as they're said to be, since their faces have some masculine traits."
Simple psychological tricks that actually work. If you want someone to give you more information, try staying silent after they answer your question. The awkward silence will force them to continue talking. If you think someone's staring at you but you can't catch them, try yawning. If they also yawn, they've been probably staring at you the whole time. If you're in a conflict with a significant other, try using food to diffuse the situation. Have you ever been mad while eating a pizza? Follow me for more.
No, I haven't.
There's songs you should never listen to. Barney's I Love You song.
I love you, you love me.
Yeah, this is a cursed one. This song can actually send you mad. It has a sick and disturbing past. It's the most overplayed song used by the CIA to torment prisoners. And music used for torture is a pretty interesting psychological concept, and this song makes it pretty easy.
The longest things in the world. Longest English word. Pneumona ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. Longest YouTube video, 596 hours. Longest song, Rise and Fall of Bossa Nova, 13 hours long. Longest film, Logistics, over 35 days long. Longest day of 2021, Monday the 21st of June.
This case makes no sense, and the internet is pleading officers to look into the case further. This is the young teen that sadly lost her life after being locked in a Walmart oven. Walmart employees started posting on social media why her death was suspicious. This employee shows how hard it is for someone to accidentally lock themselves in an oven. Check it out.
These ovens are so hard to shut. From the outside, you have to push them. I'll show you. See that?
Ooh.
Say you swing it open too hard when you get something out of the oven. Let's see what happens.
Whereas this talker showed how the door doesn't lock on itself. So someone had to be on the outside that latched it.
It closed by itself. It doesn't. It doesn't latch.
Oh.
It's designed not to do that.
So let's say she did get in the oven somehow, she would be able to get back out. Apparently some of the ovens also have like emergency shutoffs from the inside in case this does happen. So it seems like someone was on the outside that locked her in it. Because even if the door swung closed behind her, it wouldn't have been able to latch itself. Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. How do you feel about this case?
I think somebody definitely pushed that door.
Literally makes you prettier. My name is Angel, and I've been studying in the field of psychotherapy the past 7 years, as well as being a makeup TikToker. And guess what? I just got out of a lash appointment because I cried all of my lashes off this month. And am I mad at myself? Not one bit, because psychologically, crying is a sign that you're healing, not a sign that you're broken or weak. Why? Because your body is designed with something called lacrimal glands. Lacrimal glands are activated when you cry. When your lacrimal glands are activated, your body immediately goes from a state of fight or flight to rest and digest. Your body and your brain are literally threatened when you're in a state of fight or flight. But when you're in a state of rest and digest, you are healing. Your brain becomes prettier and healthier when you feel your emotions deeply. Don't feel wrong for crying. You're actually going in the right direction.
What if I told you that
Good
your parent
advice.
was a secret spy that was sent by the government? I know this sounds absolutely insane, but hear me out. In the 1960s, there was a CIA program called Operation Acoustic Kitty. The goal was to quite literally use cats as spies. The idea was they would implant these transmitter devices in the cat. They would eavesdrop on Soviet Union conversations. The CIA believed that cats blended in more than other animals, and that they could easily be trained to approach targets and transmit audio. This project cost $20 million, and the first spy cat was hit by a taxi. Rest in peace. In order to do this, the CIA implanted the radio transmitter into the base of the cat's skull, and sewed a microphone into its ear canal, and embedded an antenna into the tail of the cat. Here's an x-ray photo for reference. This is like a literal monstrosity. Like, they're literally ripping apart these animals and like putting an antenna in their tail. And the way that they were gonna control the cats is by using audio cues. Thankfully, there were a lot of complications with this like operation, and they ended up closing the project in 1967. It feels so bad for these little kitties. Follow for more.
Psychology hacks to read anybody
Insane.
like a book. When he agrees with you, but he's shaking his head, he's definitely lying to you. When somebody sits back in their chair, they're showing that they're tired of the conversation. When they're rubbing their hands together, it means they have a positive feeling about something. Follow me for more.
Okay, you know where that be came from. Slice Adams. That thing, bro, about the catch was insane, man. What is it with the CIA, man, and trying to make animals into spies? I just don't think it can work.
Facts about Earth that will make you question everything. The ocean contains about $770 trillion worth of gold, which is enough money to build your own ocean in your backyard. The hottest place on Earth is Death Valley, California, and it's reached temperatures as high as 134 degrees Fahrenheit. And while we're on the subject of temperature, Antarctica can reach 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. And this is the Kitty's hognose bat, which is the smallest mammal on Earth.
This is the smallest prisoner in the world, and you will not believe what this guy actually did. Back in 2015, a group of kids were left home alone after the mother and father went out to get some pizza, when the young boy put his baby sister in the oven. Now, you've probably seen these videos about this story all over social media. Now, although some of the information in these videos is completely fake, the majority of this story is actually 100% true. So the kids were left home while their parents went out, and they decided to put the baby sister, who was like 18 months old, in the oven. Reportedly, one of them opened the door and shoved her in there, while the other one turned the heat and made it hot. Reportedly, when the parents came home, smelled some sort of cooking, and it wasn't good. Now, the kids had been playing around and playing a game. They didn't know what the oven was, so it was meant to be a prank and a game between them with no parental supervision there. It went very, very wrong. Now, the parents were actually charged because of this, and the kids, of course, were far too young to even be investigated, really. And both the parents were actually charged with 2 counts of endangering a child and murder.
Do you know why Michael Jackson's skin became so white? Michael had a medium brown skin tone as a kid and teenager, but in 1983, when Michael was 24 years old, his skin started to change colors and it was scary. Random spots appeared on his skin and they gradually lost their pigment. In 1986, Michael's doctor informed him that he was suffering from a skin disorder called vitiligo. Vitiligo gives people white patches on their skin and makes them sensitive to sunlight. This is why Michael often walked under umbrella and wore hats that shaded his face. Apart from vitiligo, Michael Jackson also struggled with lupus, which is another kind of disease where the immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues. To treat his conditions, Michael used skin creams and makeup to hide uneven color patches on his skin, but many people criticized Michael and said he was trying to become white, but Michael had his own reasons, and he explained them.
I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. Is something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
Facts that I wish.
Never knew that. I mean, you know, people, they have their theories, man, about, you know, Michael Jackson, I guess, recovered another person because I didn't know, like I say, he had a skin disorder. Hey, man, we all gotta do our facts. We all gotta do our research, bro. That's interesting.
Wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
Yeah. I never knew that.
Ridiculous facts that will make you laugh. A woman earlier this year brought a baby hedgehog to a wildlife hospital thinking that it was hers, but in reality it was actually just a beanie. Queen Elizabeth one time actually accepted an invite to a random wedding that invited her. In the 1980s, an army supply clerk accidentally ordered a $28,000 anchor instead of a $6 lamp because of a mistype in an order number. There was a rumor that Stephen Hawking would deliberately run over people's toes that he didn't like. He denied the rumor by stating that it was malicious and that he would run over anybody's toes that spread it. Animal Planet aired a fake documentary about mermaids that made thousands of people convinced that they were real. Twice. And it wasn't even on April Fool's Day. It was in May 2012 and May 2013. It was the most watched telecast on Animal Planet since Steve Irwin's Memorial 6 years before. This teenager's art was not discovered by his parents for multiple years until they looked at their house on Google Earth.
What the? Why would he put that on top of the house, bro? I ever did it. Slap the mess out of me, bro. What the hell?
Are your toys alive?
What did I just walk into?
Would you ever roll out me? New fear unlocked.
It's too realistic.
Gotta be careful here. Well, that puts an end to my tarpon fishing. Wow.
You're a brave soul.
Get back.
This is a war game about.
That's exactly what I would have did, Seekers. I'm especially was that alligator crocodile? It don't matter. I'm hitting it just as soon as I see something come out that water. Like I said, we was the bridge still even standing there, man. I would have been gone.
About trying to survive your sleep paralysis demon. Let's talk about a horror game called Silent Still. The entire point of this game is that it's trying to recreate the feeling of having sleep paralysis. And while your character can walk around during the day, at nighttime when you go to sleep, you cannot move. You are completely frozen. All you can do is look around your room while your sleep paralysis demon walks about. It basically tries to recreate that feeling of helplessness. One of the interesting parts about this game, though, is that it actually tries to tell a story. During this time, your character is discovering that they have sleep paralysis, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with it. There are 3 nights, 3 sleep paralysis sessions that you have to get through in this game, and a few of them scared the absolute hell out of me. I don't want to spoil anything, especially because the last night takes the game in a completely different direction than I was expecting, but I do have a full playthrough of this game on my channel. I hope you know that you have a lot to be proud of about yourself, and I'm proud of you simply for the fact that you haven't given up.
All the horror news that you probably missed.
I have to check that out.
This found footage movie series just announced a new installment. We'll be getting Hell House Lineage, and it's supposedly the last but scariest Hell House movie. Hell House Lineage will take place right after Hell House Origins, the Carmichael Manor. So watch this one if you want to be all caught up in time for the new movie. If you're a fan of Hell House, Midnight Mass, or Fall of the House of Usher, then you probably know that Mike Flanagan is now making shows for Prime Video. And his next project is an 8-episode miniseries based on Carrie by Stephen King. I'm a fan of literally all of Mike Flanagan's Stephen King movies, so here's some bonus recommendations. I already know that Carrie is going to be amazing. Creep is one of the best found footage horror movies on Netflix, so I'm very excited for the Creep Tapes, which will be a found footage TV series, where every episode is another one of Peach Fuzz's previous victims that we haven't seen before. Longlegs, Saw, and Stephen King is a match made in hell, and I am so here for it. Because the director of Longlegs, Osgood Perkins, will be directing The Monkey, based on a short story by Stephen King and produced by James Wan. Neon actually sent me a sneak peek of a kill scene from this movie. Even though I definitely can't show it on here, I will say that it got me so excited to see the rest of the movie. This one is going to be a bloody good time. In a Violent Nature went super viral all over social media when it first came out. And one of the cast members just announced that there will be a sequel in A Violent Nature too. Hopefully it'll have even crazier kills than the first one, but I have no idea how they're going to top this scene. And that's...
This photo is of the most dangerous man on Earth, the Cincinnati Crawler. This actual photo was captured by the family back in 1974 after this man entered their house, and escaping shortly after the photo was taken. So in 1974, the Johnson family lived in Cincinnati. It was a quiet neighborhood, they had a nice house in the middle of the countryside, not much went on here, until they started noticing very strange things happening. Their 14-year-old daughter would regularly say that she would see these eyes outside of her window at night, peering in, staring at her. And with most nights the sounds of banging and footsteps, which they thought was just rats or some kind of pipes. Till one night, their youngest son was laying in bed, ready to go to sleep. The family dog would regularly come in to sleep with the young boy and just stay on his bed, but he felt the dog jump up onto his bed slowly and went to pet it. But it wasn't the dog. That was when he spotted this guy at the end of his bed, just standing there. After everybody had spotted him, the man ran out of the house and has still never been found. Though reportedly 4 other young children had gone missing in this area at the same time in the 70s, which police believe he could have been responsible for. On top of this, in the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of human experiments going on in the exact same place.
Psychology hacks to read anybody like a book. If somebody is closing their eyes when talking to you, they're probably hiding something. When a person covers their mouth, it means that they don't want to say what they're thinking. When a person is rubbing their chin, they're trying to make a decision. Follow me for more.
That's just ain't facts, man. I'll always write those down. Those psychology facts, man. You can analyze a person by learning those, I guess, traits that people be doing when they're talking to you. I wasn't that it. Oh, what the hell?
Yes, you saw that right. The moon was just hit by a giant meteor and exploded. We have at least 24 hours to prepare before fragments of the moon reach Earth. Expect massive meteor showers and some pieces big enough to take out entire cities. Media is reporting that without the moon's gravity, our oceans are about to be unpredictably wild. Tsunamis will strike coastal lines around the world, and if you live near a coastline, get you and your family to higher ground as soon as possible. They are also saying the Earth's tilt and rotation will start to wobble. This means insane, unpredictable weather and extreme storms that can cause chaos. You need to stay inside and safe, because now that people think the world is ending, there will be riots, loots, and people just not listening to the law at all. Things are about to get very scary very fast. I'm not gonna lie, bro, we just all gotta stick together right now. Take care of your family and take care of each other, man. I don't know what to do. Please share this video because this was just a prank. It's creepypasta, and you can really scare your friends with this.
Crazy things happening in the world right
I knew
now.
that was an
Zoom,
edit.
the app widely used for remote work, is telling its employees that they need to come back to the office.
What?
For Mental Health Awareness Week, McDonald's changed their Happy Meal to just the meal. The Red Lobster found a rare orange lobster in their batch and decided to donate it to the Denver Aquarium. Florida put new state line signs that welcome drivers to the free state of Florida. Japan is running surveys on their young people asking them why they're not getting married amid a population crisis in the country. The OceanGate co-founder said that he wants to dive to the portal to hell that sits in the Bahamas. Costco is now selling apocalypse buckets where you get 150 servings of food that will last for 25 years. 65,000 coffee mugs randomly went missing in a Tesla factory. A recent study published says that young adulthood is no longer the happiest time of a person's life. Another study published that you actually can't have too much money, and that billionaires are significantly happier than millionaires.
Let's talk
Wonder
about
why.
the cannibal that made a real-life snuff film. So on May 29, 2012, mysterious packages began arriving at various businesses around the Montreal area in Canada, including an elementary school. Each of the packages contained the severed and decomposing remains of a 34-year-old man named June Lin. Police were able to trace June's last known whereabouts to the apartment of 30-year-old Luka Magnotta. Now, Luka was a man who was so obsessed with getting famous that he was willing to do the most disgusting and vile acts imaginable just to get people talking about him, which included posting videos of himself online torturing and unaliving kittens. Police were able to determine that June had been unalived on May 24th, 5 days before his severed limbs were mailed to police, and using that information, they discovered something even more disturbing. On May 25th, the day after June was unalived, Luka actually uploaded a video to the website bestscore.com entitled One Lunatic, One Ice Pick. The video depicted June Lin tied to a bed completely naked, and Luka standing over him before stabbing him repeatedly in the chest and the neck with an ice pick. Afterwards, the video depicts Luka decapitating June and then cutting off his arms and his legs. From there, the video gets even worse, and it shows Luka using June's severed head and his severed arms to masturbate himself. After that, Luka is seen cutting chunks of flesh and meat away from June's buttocks and then feeding them to his dog and also attempting to eat them himself. Luka stated he did all this in an attempt to get famous and that he was not sorry at all for what he did, and he's currently serving life in prison.
So this is widely considered to be one of the most credible
Heinous.
paranormal experiences in U.S. history. For upwards of 88 different witnesses, independent witnesses, within a 72-hour period in this home, who claimed to experience some sort of phenomenon. The home was occupied by the Gooden family. Very normal, very suburban, husband and wife, and their 10-year-old daughter at the time, Marcia. What was interesting was that the occurrences in the house actually dated back to 1968 when the family heard scratching and unexplained knocking coming from inside their walls. In November of 1974, a crowd appeared in front of the home because there was something unexplainable going on inside. A collection of 5 different officers were called to the home, all of whom claimed to see appliances lift off the ground and levitate. People claimed to see the cat talk. People claimed that objects were flying off the walls, dishes were smashing on the floor. Even Ed and Lorraine Warren showed up to the home. Given all of the police reports and the records of this incident and how it has gone unexplained for so many years, what do you think really happened?
These are the world's freakiest sea animals.
Okay.
In July 2022, people in Chile gathered around to see what a fishing boat caught off their shore. The creature was 16 feet long, and the video got 20 million views when it was posted online. Because people were debating whether or not this was an actual sea monster. monster. But I'm sad to say it's not. This is an oarfish, a fish that typically lives about 3,000 feet below the surface. Next, at Laguna Beach in May 2021, people were shocked when they saw a terrifying football-looking fish washed up on the shore. This was a Pacific football fish, a fish that usually lives 3,000 feet under the surface. Basically, remember that terrifying light bulb fish from Finding Nemo?
Yep.
That's this guy. They're actually so rare that even marine biologists know very little about this species and what causes them to wash up on shores. And in 2022, a fisherman named Sean Bailey was sailing around off the coast of San Diego when he spotted a weird ghost-looking creature floating on the surface of the water. But after a few minutes, it started moving again because it was just sunbathing. This is a mola mola, or an ocean sunfish. These fish live 660 feet below the ocean surface and prey on jellyfish, and then warm up by sunbathing on top of the surface. And this allows seagulls to eat the parasites off its body. So for them, it's kind of like a free trip to the spa.
These villagers dig up their dead family members every 3 years, and you won't believe why. These people are from a village in Indonesia, and during their Manim festival, they get their ancestors' corpses, clean them, and put them all out to dry, and dress them in new clothes as a ritual. And the reason is because they believe they're showing them love and respect.
This is why you should be scared of mirrors. Reddit user Liberated Man said that when he was about 12 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He walked across the hall to the bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when he glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. It wasn't his face. He said that it was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at him. He only saw it for the briefest moment, but it seared into his brain. He screamed and ran out to find his dad. His dad, of course, investigated and then calmed him down, or tried to. They had a prayer session because he was so freaked out. Eventually, he went back to sleep. He said that fast forward to his 30s, he had forgotten all about the event until one night, while visiting, his dad quietly brings it up. He said, "Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror?" It suddenly came back to him in a rush of a memory, sending a chill down his spine. He said, "Yeah, I remember." And then his dad said, "Well, sometimes I think about that night." He looked down at the floor with a serious expression, and then he said, "I saw it too." He went on to describe exactly what Reddit user Liberated Man had seen. Neither of them have any idea what it was. Apparently, when his dad went to investigate, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. And the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as it was his son's.
So they both saw the same thing. So they weren't tripping there. And a Reddit user saw the same thing too, so maybe those two stories are linked. It's a creepy rabbit hole you gotta get into. That's an edit, man. Call them out.
Yeah! Scientists just did something you are not going to appreciate. Trust me, you're gonna want to favor this video because this could be the start of something horrendous. Because they thought today was a brilliant day to cut open 200 million year old parasitic eggs that they found in fossilized feces. You know, dinosaur shit. They found one of the earliest predators were infested with roundworm, otherwise known as nematodes, and other parasites. I feel like I shouldn't need to say this. Don't fucking do that! I swear after 2020 we've learned nothing! And this hasn't come long after scientists revived a previously extinct ancient worm. But don't worry, that's another horror for another day. I'll be the first to say it, I do feel like we're opening Pandora's box. We revive an ancient parasite out of the good of our hearts and then it gets out of control and destroys the world. These are the parasite samples, by the way, if you wanted to see them. They are being called Morphotype 4. Bear in mind, we are nervous about permafrost melting and releasing ancient pathogens and diseases into our worlds. And now we're willingly sawing open dinosaur shit that includes a parasite. I mean, does 1 + 1 = 5? Personally, I'm not a fan of this one, so send this to a friend because they need to know what's going on. I'm terrified.
Forbidden places.
Why would we even do that, bro? With all that's going on in the world right now, we think that's a good idea to examine some parasites that probably went extinct a million years ago because it was in dinosaur crap. Now we're trying to reintroduce it. It's just gonna decimate the ecosystem, man. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why?
Is that you can never visit. Snake Island is an island off of the coast of Brazil, filled with deadly snakes. Rising sea levels cause this piece of land to become an island, allowing for the snakes to flourish in their own environment. There are now up to 5 snakes every square meter, and you are not allowed to go here.
In Svalbard, Norway, there is a global seed vault, aka the Doomsday Vault. It is the world's seed bank, storing samples of crops from all over the world just in case of a global catastrophe. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang in China holds an army of warriors made of clay. It protects the burial spot of the first emperor of China who died in 210 BC, and we only discovered this tomb in 1974. Paveglia Island in Italy was used to exile hundreds of thousands of victims of the plague. It is said to be one of the most haunted places on Earth, and a dark local legend says that 50% of the soil is made up of human remains. Follow for more.
Don't go there, bro. Most haunted place in the world.
Was this the worst form of medieval punishment? If you found yourself as a prisoner in a medieval castle, you may be subject to the dungeon, torture, or even execution. But what could be worse? Well, let me tell you about the oubliette, also known as the Forgotten Room. This was a specialized type of prison in some medieval castles, perhaps for the worst of offenders. It was a narrow shaft, sometimes 8 feet deep, with only one entrance and exit, a trapdoor located on the ceiling. The shaft being so narrow that the individual would be forced to stand. They couldn't kneel, they couldn't sit, they could barely turn around. To fall alone into the oubliette would sometimes break bones. In some cases, these would even be built into the upper walls of the castle, so the victim could hear the hustle and bustle of castle life, but could not escape. Depending on the situation or individual, they might throw you some food and water if you were to be kept alive. In most cases, you were subject to stand there, starve to death, and then be devoured by vermin. The most you could do was stand there, look up at the grate, and realize you cannot escape. Oh yeah, did I also mention sometimes jagged stones would be placed at the bottom? And of course, you were also subject to stand in your own waste. Lep Castle, which is located in Ireland, had quite an active oubliette. So many skeletons were discovered in one in the 1920s that it took 3 cartloads to transport them off the property. Between the sleep deprivation, the starvation, the psychological torture, and the claustrophobia, I think this is the worst form of medieval torture.
Definitely up there, man. You just standing. Said can't bend, can't do anything. Up street all that time. That's insane. It's another edit, man. Like I said, if you guys see any edits, call them out too. We learning together.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
Never knew that. What the hell, pigs?
Fun fact, Michel Lotito, aka Mr. Eats Everything, was a French performance artist who once ate an entire Cessna 150 airplane. Holding the Guinness World Record for strangest diet, Michel first became aware of his strange affliction when he was 9 years old, and the glass he was drinking from broke, and he began chewing on the broken glass fragments and liked them. Throughout the course of his life, he consumed 8 bicycles, 15 supermarket trolleys, 7 TV sets, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds, also a waterbed full of water, a pair of skis, a coffin, 1,600 feet of steel chain, a ton of random stuff like glasses, plates, and razor blades, and of course, a Cessna 150 airplane. He began eating the plane in 1978 and spent 2 years consuming it bite by bite, cutting the plane into edible pieces about 1 to 2 centimeters long until he finally finished his meal in 1980. To protect his stomach and intestines from getting pierced by any sharp objects, Mr. Lotito would consume a ton of mineral oil and water during his meals to help the metal, glass, or whatever else move through his system. Michel Lotito passed away in 2007 at the age of 57 from natural causes.
My man ate a whole plane. If you would have told me that a couple of days ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm gonna have to look him up, see what else he ate, bro. Any other world records? He had that broken many, man. Eating
These are the world's
that type of
freakiest land
things.
animals. animals. In 2022, a TikToker named Caustica uploaded a video that showed a weird-looking creature running around his backyard. Once the video went viral, wildlife experts took to the comments to explain that it was a lesser blind mole rat. And this is because of how its tiny eyes are nearly tucked under its skin. They spend most of their time underground creating tunnels with their massive teeth. In 2020 in British Columbia, a woman was walking around when she saw a bug that looked like a tarantula with wings. She then shared a photo of the bug to Facebook, where wildlife experts explained that this was a very big moth called a polyphemus moth. These moths have huge bodies, and despite their scary looks, they don't have mouths to bite. And they have a lifespan of about 2 weeks. And in 2024 in Sydney, Australia, a TikToker named Blonde heard a weird tapping sound coming from her window at night, and she went to investigate. And what she found is like something out of nightmares. At her window, a bat was tapping on the glass, trying to find a way to escape the storm. And it stayed around until the next morning, where Blonde had to call a bat expert to come remove it. But this turned out to be a non-aggressive species of a bat known as a flying fox. And they only eat fruit or flowers. They also struggle to keep warm when they're wet, which explains why it was at her window. Now I just feel sorry for the little guy.
What is the dirtiest country in the world? Well, firstly, the cleanest country in the world is Denmark. It's also labelled the most environmentally friendly. But what country is the dirtiest? In 5th place, it's Pakistan. Pakistan is home to the world's most polluted city, Lahore, and has become a major problem in Pakistan. The air is voted hazardous for breathing, and Pakistan is also voted 3rd highest for public defecation. In 4th place, it's Bangladesh. Bangladesh suffers from pollution also, mostly from vehicles, factory fumes and dust. The air quality in Dhaka, one of the world's most crowded cities, is also labelled as very poor and dangerous. Serious overpopulation in Bangladesh is also a huge factor contributing to this. In 3rd place, it's Vietnam. Vietnam is very polluted due to the transportation system and the excess cars and motorbikes on the road. The water is very polluted due to trash being thrown away and neglected, and a lot of the popular cities can be covered in litter. In 2nd place, it's Myanmar. Myanmar has suffered badly with trash, pollution, but most of all, water pollution. Myanmar have a long-lasting problem with dirty water. More than anything, being a river cleaner is a job, collecting trash such as plastics and cans, then selling it, making up to $10 a day. Finally, in 1st place, it's India. India have suffered really badly from air pollution, trash and hygiene issues. It is #1 in the world for public defecation, and overpopulation has been becoming a concern for India as the country is growing at a very fast rate. Most of the lakes and rivers are poisonous and hazardous, and the pollution in some areas is very severe, making it the most polluted country on Earth. If you enjoy videos like these, please follow our page for more facts.
We learned out here today, see, because I didn't know, man. I didn't think India was going to be on that list. Most polluted in the world. We got to do better, man. We got to take care of our planet, bro. We only have on the earth, man, so we got to do our best to take care of it. I wasn't expecting that. Hey, man, that's why I say these facts. I'm learning just like y'all. Edit, man. I think, man, I'm getting better at spotting the edits. Watching these videos every day with you guys.
Can you believe that this was almost the Ghostface mask for Scream? While scouting out locations for the first Scream movie, they stumbled upon a mask in an abandoned house. It was produced by a company named Fun World, and it was called the Peanut-Eyed Ghost. Well, Fun World wanted a little bit too much money for them to use their mask, so they went to the drawing boards. Here are just a few of the concepts that they drew up. Quite different, huh? They were eventually able to come to an agreement, and thus one of the most iconic horror masks of all time was born. This may look like a Wish.com Michael Myers mask, but it's actually from the original movie. 43 years ago, they painted a Captain Kirk mask white, and now we have one of the most iconic horror killers ever. I'm actually impressed with how well it held up over that long. Who is the most realistic psychopath in cinematic history? Starting in 2014, Belgian professor Samuel Lieston wanted to know which movie characters best represented psychotic traits. Over the course of 3 years, him and 10 of his friends watched over 400 movies, spanning from 1915 all the way to 2010, trying to find the best movie psycho. Believe it or not, Norman Bates, Patrick Bateman, and Hannibal Lecter didn't even make the cut. The team believed that their traits did not quite fit the psychopath mold. They all agreed that the best movie psychopath was Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men. They wrote that he seems to be effectively invulnerable and resilient to any form of emotion and humanity, and I 100% must agree. Their runners-up were Hans Beckert in the 1931 German film M, and Henry Lee Lucas in Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Who is your favorite movie psychopath?
These are the safest countries to go if World War III was to start.
That's mind blowing.
And considering the news at the moment, you might want to sit down, shut up, and listen! So favorite this video, just in case you ever need it. I hope we never do. Now there are countries all around the world, but let's start with Argentina. Now if this was to all break out, it's likely that the world would look similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day at the end. It's likely that all the smoke from all of these will block out the sun, this resulting very quickly in famine and crop failure. But don't panic, because we have Argentina. In Argentina, there are an abundance of resistant crops, such as wheat. This is one of the places on Earth that actually has a chance of surviving World War III. Next up, we have one of the big ones, Switzerland. Now, aside from the fact that it is incredibly neutral when it comes to politics, it has a landlocked geography and mountainous terrain, as well as being one of the countries with an insane amount of underground bunkers. Actually, there's 26,000 of them, which are actually all very hidden, which will mean you will be very safe. As well, just in case there is an invasion, Switzerland literally has booby traps everywhere. It's actually kind of insane. And awesome! Next up, we have one of the big ones, Antarctica. Now, barely anyone thinks about going there, which is why it's pretty safe. However, as you can tell, it's a bit fucking cold, so bring coats.
Yep.
Next up, we have Greenland. Now, it was in this movie, and they all survived. But on top of that, it's remote, mountainous, and politically neutral, making it kind of an ideal refuge point. And on top of that, worst case scenario, you're not too far away from the global seed vaults, which, you know, has a lot of seeds in it, so for planting, and thus food and survival. There are literally so many more countries on this list. So if you'd like me to go through more countries in a part 2, let me know. And hopefully we'll never need this video. But just in case we do send this to a friend, it could save their life one day.
One of the biggest
Greenland,
mysteries in history has finally been solved. Alright, firstly, in 1915, explorer Ernest Shackleton and his crew set off for a voyage to explore Antarctica. However, before they could make it to Antarctica, the ship they were on, known as the Endurance, got trapped and crushed by the ice. Now, with no other options left, all of the members on board had to navigate a lifeboat hundreds of miles to safety. On this journey to safety, all of the crew survived many storms, even one being a hurricane, until they got onto a rescue boat. Even though they failed to get to Antarctica, this became a famous story because they didn't let a setback crush their spirit. But for over a century, the biggest mystery was, where did the ship end up? And believe it or not, but in 2022, the ship was actually discovered, and they were so close to where they wanted to be. It was found 2 miles underwater, and because of the frigid temperatures, it was actually pretty well preserved.
I think that's just a sign, man. Like I said, they didn't give up. They didn't stop. They literally couldn't, bro. That was their way of survival, man. They didn't give up. They didn't stop. They didn't let that crush their spirits, and they found their way home. But they was like right there, bro. Goes to show you, man. You can literally be right there. You never know, man. You know that's an edit. Stop playing with us.
A few wholesome history facts to brighten your day. In 1957, Northeast Airlines Flight 823 crashed onto Rikers Island. Prison staff and inmates alike ran to help the survivors. To acknowledge the heroic actions of the 57 inmates who helped, 30 were released and 16 got a reduced sentence. When Anthony Smith was 4 years old, he was fitted with a hearing aid, but soon became depressed and refused to wear it, saying, "Superheroes don't wear hearing aids." His mother, desperate for help, reached out to Marvel. In response, they created the superhero Blue Ear in his likeness. The zip-up cardigans that you would always see Mr. Rogers wear were actually made by his mother. She also knitted them for military troops in Pennsylvania. One of them is now located in the Smithsonian Museum. 3 completely useless yet interesting facts. Have you ever wondered why barns are typically painted red? It has nothing to do with the color itself, but for its usefulness. Long ago, different colored paints and sealers weren't an option for farmers. They needed to make sure they found or made a paint or sealer that would protect the wood on their barn. They would seal their barns with linseed oil, where they would add milk, lime, and iron oxide. Rust would kill fungi and mosses and worked as a great sealant. It also turned the mixture red in color. Have you ever wondered why there's cotton inside of some pill bottles? The tradition of doing so started in the early 1900s when Bayer would put cotton in their bottles to prevent breakage of their pills during shipment. And finally, what is the purpose of putting your phone in airplane mode when you're riding on a plane? I mean, there's absolutely no way that could cause a problem while you're on an airplane, but it actually could. You see, airplane mode disables all wireless and cellular signals coming from the phone. Believe it or not, those signals could actually interfere with important...
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on.
Airplane mode is a must on the plane.
A lot of the locals there who believe what they're watching is a serial killer on the streets. Somebody who is roaming the city undetected, and it all ties back to Ladybird Lake and all of the bodies that continue to appear in that lake under very strange circumstances. So they think that this is connected to the nightlife on Rainy Street. Thought being that a lot of young men, while they're out at bars, are getting profiled at these bars. The suspicion is that their drinks are getting drugged and then they are wandering off on foot. Now, pathway-wise, they eventually make their way to Ladybird Lake, but somebody is following these men. The suspicion being that they are drowned in the lake and that the bodies are recovered. However, there is somebody who is suspected to be a survivor of an alleged attack. So what he remembered was that he was definitely drugged while he was out at a bar and then was on foot. While on foot, he was then crossing a bridge near Ladybird Lake where he was pushed off by someone. Whoever that mysterious figure was who did push him off the bridge, it's an unknown. And I would say the bigger question is, why are the Austin PD not investigating this?
They need to, but that's how I say, man, I'll cover your drink. If you walk away, if you have to go to the bathroom and you come back to that drink, might as well just dump it out, get a new drink, man. You don't know what's in it. Learned that very early on, Seekers. It ain't worth it.
This is the case of the girl that vanished into thin air. Her name is Yuki Onishi. On April 29th of 2005, 5-year-old Yuki was out celebrating Greenery Day with her mother. It's a national holiday in Japan, and what they do is they go out, they celebrate nature, and they collect bamboo shoots. So Yuki, her mom, and 60 other people were out doing this. Yuki was so excited that she found her first bamboo shoot, she showed her mother, and then she ran off to find more. That's when she disappeared and was never seen from again. When they realized that she was nowhere to be found, they actually brought in search dogs and the police. This is where it gets really strange. The dogs followed her scent to the middle of the forest and then just stopped. The scent stopped in the middle of the forest as if she had just disappeared into thin air from that spot.
Whoa.
To this day, she has never been found and no one knows what happened. If you want to hear some theories, come back for part 2.
Creepy last words people said right before dying.
Scary.
Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student who remembered his Greek mythology said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one 2-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
This 16-year-old was sentenced to 50 years in prison, and you won't believe what he did. In 2022, Noah Nay shot a 5-year-old girl in the neck and shoulder in Oklahoma. This teen, who I swear looks like a 9-year-old, was riding in a stolen car and purposely shot inside a home where the little girl was playing. But again, this was no accident. No one did this for a gang initiation. Luckily, the little girl survived, but had the bullet hit a spot an inch away, she would have definitely died. Noah was arrested, but not long after, he escaped the juvenile detention center by jumping a fence. He was found 4 days later, but when he was put back into the detention center, he repeatedly assaulted staff. Noah was sentenced as an adult, but the judge said that in 2028, his sentence can be reduced if he's proved that he's changed.
Imagine getting stood up for a day and it causes you to become a key part of a murder trial. It was 2012 in Kentucky, and Shayna Hoopers was 21 years old. She had just graduated from the University of Kentucky and was dating 29-year-old Ryan Poston. Ryan was an attorney, and the pair was said to be very toxic. They'd been together for about 1.5 years, but were very on and off. On the night of October the 12th, things would end for good. Those close to Ryan knew he wasn't happy. He tried ending things with Shayna multiple times, but she refused to accept this. She would turn up to his house, refuse to leave, and they would end up getting back together.
Toxic.
On the 12th of October, the pair were having food at Ryan's parents' house, and they would end up in another argument. Ryan decided to end things once and for all, and to prove to Shayna that he was over her, he decided to go on a date with another woman the next night. The woman was the stunning Audrey Bolt, who was the current Miss Ohio. Audrey and Ryan had arranged to go to a bar the night after at 9:30 p.m. Audrey was really looking forward to it and was very confused when he never showed up. Meanwhile, Shayna had turned up to Ryan's house again without warning. After another massive argument, she took one of his guns and shot him 6 times. She then decided to call police to confess. Now, while she was being interviewed by police, she was acting incredibly bizarre. She twirled around the room and sang, "I did it, yeah, I killed him." She also sang Amazing Grace. Shayna tried to claim that she acted in self-defense, but she was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Audrey had to testify in the murder trial. However, in August 2016, Shayna was actually granted a new trial. This was because it was revealed that one of the original jurors was actually a felon. She was again found guilty though in her retrial and was sentenced to life. The baby-faced...
Man, that's just a sign. If you guys are in a toxic relationship, man, just try to end it all, because it can turn into something even worse, man.
Gangster that shot a little girl in the neck has been jailed for 50 years after a court heard that he knows the difference between right and wrong, but has no amenability to treatment. Noah Nay was sentenced as an adult for the 2022 shooting that saw the teen drive a stolen car and fire a gun towards the house in which the little girl was playing, hitting her in the neck and shoulder. It has been reported that his actions were part of the requirements for a gang initiation.
An American couple married for 75 years. They had one wish in common. A wish that shocked everyone. Jeanette, 96, and Alexander, 95. They started dating at the age of 8, were officially married in 1940, and live in San Diego, Calif. They have 5 sons and daughters and 16 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Some time ago, Alexander suffered an accidental fall that fractured his hip, and he was confined to his bed at home. He used a special bed. It was placed next to his wife Janet's bed. Soon after, Alexander lost interest in life and became weak. On this day, June 29th, Alexander lay in Janet's arms. The daughter informed her mother that her father had died. Janet said sadly, with tears in her eyes, "This is your wish, to pass away in my arms. I love you. Wait for me. Soon we will meet again." Surprisingly, what's on the calendar for June 29th, 75 years ago today? It was the day they were married. The next morning, their daughter found out. Her mother had also passed away peacefully. It turned out that their common wish was to pass away happily together in an embrace. Follow me. Get more true stories every day.
That is like a story that's we can leave without coincidence, man. Like, that was their one true wish, and it happened like just a day after each other, man. They were together that long. That's how they wanted to go out. That's really bizarre.
Here's every character I think that's going to be in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. If you remember at the end of the movie, Abby ends up asking Mike, "Hey, when are we going to go back to see my friends? I want to see them." And Mike says, "You never know what's going to happen." Now, in my opinion, this movie's going to be based at least 5 to 15 years in the future. Now, hear me out. For following the plans of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 as a game, we have to go into the withered characters, because they've been untouched, unmaintenanced, and unloved for so long. We're going to be seeing withered characters in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Maybe not 15 years in the future, I may have dragged it a bit, maybe 3 to 5 years in the future. And as you guys know, all of the withered characters are a little bit more devious. And why are they more devious? Because these kids have been left alone for so long. They loved Abby, they loved hanging out with her. Yes, they wanted to kill her, but still. Withered Freddy, withered Chica, look at Bonnie, she doesn't have a face. Withered Foxy, Golden Freddy. Also think we're going to be seeing the puppet as well, aka Mike's little brother. So hear me out, I'm going to be the first one to say it. When we get a Five Nights at Freddy's 2, we are going to get withered characters. It's going to be based at least 3 to 5 years in the future. Just look at withered Bonnie. Imagine Abby pulls up, getting ready to see her friends, and all of a sudden sees Bonnie. My other theory is that they are going to be pissed. They've been left alone for way too long and miss their friend. And that is what's going to drive this next movie to be absolutely insane. Like and follow for more.
Yeah, this nightmare is real, and planes are literally flipping over when passengers get up from their seats. A flight attendant for JetBlue had to issue an emergency announcement, making everyone realize their worst nightmares had come true on the plane, with one woman leaving a grim and dark message saying she wasn't sure if she'd ever see her grandkids again. The flight attendant asked all passengers to spread out as their weight was believed to be causing the plane to flip over, telling everyone to move to the middle of the plane.
Very slowly, little by little, move towards the middle of the apron because apparently everything is like it tips out.
With a tech expert saying this was so terrifying, he described it as the plane was about to do a backflip.
It felt like the plane was about to do a backflip.
Which begs the question of how safe are these planes to begin with. Many of the passengers had rushed to the rear of the plane when deplaning, which caused this, but there's still many questions which JetBlue does not have the answers for. While no one was injured, we don't know if this is something that can happen to all planes or if it's rare.
See how this fake thug reacted to a life sentence. In 2015, Jaleel Smith Riley was arrested for his involvement in a 2013 robbery that left Aaron Martin with a bullet in his head and Portia Brooks dead. Smith Riley pled guilty to the crime and was hoping to avoid a life without parole sentence. Prior to being sentenced, he cried and begged for leniency.
Consequences, man. The fake thug, bro.
His grandfather also spoke on his behalf.
He always come by to check on me and his grandmother. He always did. He worked in the church with us all.
When the judge spoke, Riley Smith didn't like what he heard.
Court defendant served a term of life without parole. As to count 4, the offense of attempted murder.
Check it out.
This heartless thug will die in prison.
Hey man, you have to deal with the consequences. If you wanna be about that life, you gotta know what comes with it.
One of the most disgusting shock videos on the internet explained. I'm explaining this off memory and other people's comments. There is no way I watch this video again because it's that gross. The video is 1 minute long, and as it starts, you hear a piano track over the video and you see 2 girls making out. But at around 10 seconds in, it gets absolutely sickening. One of the girls gets a glass cup and defecates in it, filling it all the way to the top. A jump cut then occurs and it shows the 2 women licking the feces in the cup like it's ice cream. It cuts again and it shows one of the girls rubbing the feces around her mouth. And the video then cuts again. And it shows the two girls making out with feces in their mouth and all over their faces. The next scene, one of the girls sticks her fingers down her throat, trying to make herself vomit into the glass as the other girl licks it. The next scene, it shows one of the girls standing up and the other one is on her knees. The one standing up then pukes directly onto the face of the girl on her knees. The final scene shows both girls completely covered in feces as it's even overflowing their mouths. And this is where the video finally concludes. This video is absolutely sickening, and when I tell you not to watch it, don't watch it. I know I say that for all the videos I cover, but this one isn't brutal or gory. It's just plain out disgusting, and you really just don't want to see it. You can watch reactions on YouTube of people watching this for the first time. Joe Rogan even has his reaction video up from years ago.
Hey guys, do you remember Adam Johnson, the hockey player who suffered the fatal cut to his neck in a hockey game on October the 28th? Well, the player whose skate caused the injury has actually been arrested and charged with manslaughter. This is Matt Petgrave, probably not saying that right, but he is the player whose skate caused the injury to Johnson's neck. And news out today is saying that he has been arrested and charged with the manslaughter of Adam Johnson. Now, initially, I was kind of shocked at this news. All of the footage that I saw, I did not think that it was intentional. But then, when you go back and you watch the replay in slow motion, that kind of changes things. Apparently, the hockey world and all of the hockey fans have been waiting on this to come. I'm going to add a clip in here that shows when the injury occurred during that hockey game, and you'll watch it through in regular time first, and then it will be played in slow motion, and I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. You can see it happens quickly there, but watch it in slow motion where Petgrave is in the red, he comes across and intentionally kicks that leg up, which slashes Johnson's neck and results in his death.
Here's how all of the missing children from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie passed away and became the animatronics. Well, as you guys know, little backstory, these kids ended up going to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. They all ended up disappearing in, I'm pretty sure, 1984, all because of William Afton. He wanted to run some experiments and see if he was able to combine children's souls with these animatronics. And let's just say he did his damn thing. Up first is Freddy. It is said that Freddy's original character was unalived by hiding, which kind of makes sense because you never really see Freddy doing any wild shit. I mean, you see him, but he's always kind of just like lurking or pretending to be still. Then have Foxy, said to be the soul of one of the kids that was running, hence the reason Foxy is always so fast and always running. We also have to take into the account the kid in the orange, who has Foxy's hook, and literally starts sprinting as soon as Mike gets too close. Then have Chica, who's said to have the embodiment of one of the kids that was screaming. Seems as though you always see Chica when she jump scares people in the games is she's screaming, which kind of makes sense. Then have Bonnie, who's said to be after one of the kids that fought back. He obviously didn't win. That shows why Bonnie's always so brawling. Then you have Golden Freddy, who's said to be the souls of 2 children. Which is supposed to be someone named Cassidy, but in the movie it's Mike's little brother. That's the theory. Like and follow for more.
Oh no.
Those theories are crazy.
No. I had thought that I had seen everything when it came to cults, but you are not prepared for what this cult believes. So HBO just released this documentary about the Love Is One cult, which was run by this woman, Amy Carlson, who calls herself Mother God. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but she believed she was controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams, and this like yassified version of Saint Germain. Also, I cover a lot of dark stuff on this page, so you should follow along. She also said she could channel and get advice from this like galactic federation of dead celebrities. There's like Mr. Rogers, Carrie Fisher, Steve Irwin, and randomly Donald Trump, who is not dead. But Robin Williams is at the top, and so the cult believes they're getting a lot of advice through Robin Williams, so they'll say things like, so one of the beliefs that this cult has is that one day Robin Williams is going to arrive in a spaceship to take Mother God away so that she can spiritually ascend. He also told her that she can only be 103 pounds to get on the spaceship, which is why she's trying to lose a lot of weight. Eventually, Mother God starts getting sicker and sicker, and also bluer and bluer because of the colloidal silver, the supplements they won't stop giving her, and everyone thinks, oh my god, Robin Williams must be coming on a spaceship really soon to help Mother ascend. Eventually, she passes away, and guess what? Shockingly, Robin Williams does not descend in an intergalactic spaceship to come collect the 103-pound body of Mother God. And so the cult members just have her body. They don't know what to do with it. They thought Robin Williams was going to come. So they hang out with it for 12 days until the police finally show up. Anyways, this whole thing is a trip. You just gotta watch it to believe it. I'm seeing photos.
Should we check that out, Seekers, man? people who be getting caught up in those groups, man, they be into some weird things. But to say that they thought Robert Williams was gonna come down in a spaceship, that's just one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard watching these videos together with you guys. Be careful, man, of those groups.
Show a 13-year-old boy. Police say he murdered his mother, and before that, he's standing over her in a vulnerable position as he's getting ready to stab her to death. Derek Rosa snapped a selfie after the crime, his hands smeared with blood.
No, I'm not her. I just have a little bit of blood on my hand.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She's dead, miss.
Okay, when did you do that?
Blood all over the floor.
Where is your sister? Your sister still there?
She's sleeping.
She's sleeping, okay.
Excuse me, miss, what do I do if she wakes up?
If you wake up, just let me know. I need to know. Do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she's dead. I took pictures and I told my friends about it with that bag.
You told who about it?
My friends.
Who did you send the pictures to?
My friend. I don't know his real name because he is an online friend. But I play with a lot.
Cell phone video shows the moment a teenage boy surrendered with his hands up.
His demeanor, he was very quiet, apologetic, very respectful. Not what you would expect walking into that home and seeing that crime scene.
The 13-year-old, identified as Derek Rosa, is currently in secure detention. When officers arrived to Unit 201 inside the Amelia Oaks apartment complex, they found the victim in her bedroom with multiple wounds, just inches from her newborn baby girl.
Next to her was a crib. And inside of that crib, a 14-day-old baby that fortunately was not injured.
Places that will disappear in your lifetime. Venice, Italy is a beautiful place, but it will disappear in your lifetime. Venice is slowly sinking. The canals cause many floods, and these floods are causing Venice to tilt east. Experts say that by 2100 the city will be uninhabitable. The Great Wall of China is amazing, but it will soon be gone. 1/3 of the wall has already been destroyed. This is mainly due to natural damage, for example climate change, but people walking on it and local settlements stealing bricks from it has also damaged the wall badly. Experts say that within decades the wall may be gone. San Francisco is an amazing city. It's known for earthquakes, but in 2016 geologists found something scary. They found 2 earthquake fault lines underneath the San Francisco Bay. This could destroy San Francisco, and there's a 75% chance this could happen before 2086. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is one of the most amazing things in the world, but it won't be around for much longer. It's already decreased more than 50% of its original size, and lots of the vibrant coloured corals are now turning white. Some believe the Great Barrier Reef may disappear by 2030.
Damn, that's just in a couple of years. What the hell? All these places, man, that's about to disappear. I gotta see them before they go, man. The Great Wall, Venice, Italy. Hey, man, I want to travel. What the hell? I'm gonna have to put that on my list.
This is one of the worst true crime cases I ever covered, and this is a massive trigger warning. In 2007, the boy on the right named Gabriel Kuhn, who was 12 years old, was killed by Daniel Petri, who was 16 and on the left. Daniel Petri and Gabriel Kuhn became good friends and began playing an online role-playing game called Tibia. At one point of the game, Gabriel asked Daniel for 20,000 virtual cash to clear the stage. Gabriel borrowed money from Daniel to use in the game and then refused to pay him back. Gabriel then blocked Daniel on everything, and this made him furious, and he went to Gabriel's house to pay him a visit. A couple of days before the murder, Daniel called the home phone of Gabriel and his mom answered. She explained that she would be out of town and that her son would be home alone if they wanted to play, completely unaware of the boys falling out. And on August 23rd, 2007, Daniel went to Gabriel's house and knocked on the door. Nobody answered, and Daniel kept knocking, but eventually Gabriel started speaking to Daniel through the door. Daniel told Gabriel to unlock the door and let him in, and if he apologized to him, everything would be fine. Believing this, Gabriel unlocked the door and let Daniel in. And after entering the house, Daniel locked the door behind him. Daniel then brutally assaulted Gabriel. Gabriel tried his best to defend himself, but he failed to do so. Daniel was older, bigger, and stronger. Gabriel was dripping in blood after being brutally beaten by Daniel. Daniel then laughed at the terrified Gabriel and took him to the bedroom. where he then sexually assaulted him. Gabriel cried, but this made Daniel even more cruel. After all of this, Gabriel threatened Daniel, saying he will tell his mother everything that happened, but this only made Daniel more mad. And in a fit of rage, Daniel took a cord from a gaming console and wrapped it around Gabriel's neck and strangled him with it until he went limp. Daniel assumed Gabriel was dead, and believing this, Daniel tried to move and hide the body in the crawl space, leading to the bedrooms. However, the body was too heavy, and after realizing this, Daniel searched the house for sharp tools, and eventually he found a kitchen knife and a hacksaw. Daniel then returned to Gabriel's body, and in order to make it lighter, he took the knife and hacksaw and began cutting at the top of Daniel's leg to remove it, and as Daniel cut into Gabriel's leg, he woke up. Gabriel wasn't dead. He let out a blood-curdling scream, but Daniel restrained him, making sure to twist and turn the blade to make it even more painful. Eventually, Daniel dismembered his right leg and moved to his left. And after severing both of his legs, Gabriel passed away. His autopsy suggested he was still alive throughout the whole ordeal, and he eventually died from shock and blood loss. After Daniel finished the dismemberment, he tried to hide the body again, and he wrapped a cable and wire around Gabriel's body. But the body was still too heavy, and Daniel then fled the house. Gabriel's body was discovered by his brother, and the body was left by the hallway door and the legs and the hacksaw too. Daniel Petri was admitted to a juvenile center in September 2007 to only 3 years. This is due to Brazil's laws of sentencing minors. And to make you realize how evil Daniel was, when the judge asked him if he had any last words of remorse, Daniel said this: "Gabriel was a coward and a thief. He burns in hell right now where I sent him. And when I die, I will find him in hell and finish my revenge." It's also worth saying that the photos of the crime and Gabriel's body have surfaced on the internet, and nobody knows how they got there. I highly recommend not to look at them due to the graphic nature of them, and they would definitely be the worst crime scene photos you will ever see. It's honestly insane how Daniel is walking free today. May Gabriel rest in peace.
This is the case of 19-year-old Alexi Traviso and how she went to the hospital complaining of back pain, but ended up getting charged with murder. Alexi Traviso was a 19-year-old senior in high school living in Artesia, New Mexico. She was on the varsity cheerleading team, and she was dating her boyfriend Devin for about 2 years. Honestly, Alexi just seemed like a typical teenage girl. Her prom was coming up soon, her graduation was around the corner, and she was already thinking about what university she was going to go to in the fall. January 26, 2023, that day was pretty much just like any other day for 19-year-old Alexi. She went to cheerleading practice that day and got home in the afternoon. She spent some time with her family and then she went to bed. However, she was woken up in the middle of the night with severe back pain. This was like not normal back pain. Like Alexi was in so much pain that her mother decided to take her to the hospital. Alexi and her mother Rosa arrived at the Artesia General Hospital in the early morning hours of January 27th. Alexi checked in and told the doctors that she had really bad pain in her back, so they wanted to do a test to see if maybe she had a UTI or a kidney infection, since back pain can be a symptom of both of those things. So they're getting ready to do those tests, and then they asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" Which is a very common thing to ask. I mean, if you're a girl and you've gone to the doctor before, I feel like they always ask you if you're pregnant. On top of that, experiencing back pain can be a symptom of pregnancy. So the doctor asked Alexi, "Are you pregnant?" And she says no, that she's still a virgin and that she hasn't engaged in any sexual activity. So the doctor's like, okay, perfect. And they send Alexi over to go get a CAT scan done so that they can check for kidney stone. And while she's getting that test done, the doctors decide to still do a pregnancy test just in case, because you never know. So they did a urine test, and when the results came back, they were positive. Alexi was pregnant. Now, of course, pregnancy tests can sometimes be inaccurate, so the doctors wanted to check her blood just to make sure that she was actually pregnant. And while all of this is going on, Alexi tells the doctors that she needs to go to the bathroom. Like, she has to go number 2, and it's coming out, like, right now. So she gets up from the hospital bed, and she literally runs to the bathroom holding her butt because she feels like it's going to come out. She locks herself inside the bathroom, and she's in there for quite some time. Doctors and the staff at the hospital are getting kind of worried because she's been in there for a while, and they know that she's pregnant. So they're thinking maybe she's having some type of miscarriage or something else is happening. They knock on the door, but Alexi refuses to come out. At one point, her mother Rosa also goes over to knock on the door, but Alexi says that she's just having trouble going number 2 and that she'll be out shortly. At this point, Alexi has been in the bathroom for more than like 20 minutes. So the doctors tell her, if you don't open the door right now, we're going to unlock it. Before the doctor can unlock the door, Alexi just opens up and starts walking back to her room. One of the doctors looks inside the bathroom just to see, what happened, and they do see that there was all over the floor. They asked Alexi, what's going on? And she said that she simply got her period. call over the cleaning lady to come clean up the bathroom, and when she starts to take out the trash, notices that the trash bag feels heavier than usual. So Leela, the housekeeper, goes to look inside the garbage bin, and when she pulls out a bag, she finds a baby. The baby was inside a clear plastic bag at the bottom of the bin. Okay, more in part 2.
Never wake up a sleepwalker.
Do you want me to wake him up?
They're laughing. This ain't funny though.
This girl was freaking out when her sister got out of bed and started sleepwalking.
Stop staring at me like that. Alexis! Mom! Mom!
It's like a spirit takes them over.
She's just standing here staring at me. Hey. Hey, gotta go. Sienna.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Follow for more. Crazy sleepwalking stories. What the hell? Okay, man. You got proof, man. I'm not to wake up and damn sleepwalk. YouTube, you guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys subscribe. Hit that like button, man. Hit that post notifications, man. Also, tell me down below, man, if you guys enjoy the changes to the channel, man. Like I said, I'm coming back on the talking, letting the videos play through, man. I fixed the audio for you guys, man. Some more changes are coming to the channel. I just want to grow this, grow our channel to be the best it possibly can be. It's May, man. Haven't missed a day of uploading. Like I said, maybe in May you might see me do double uploads on a day. I don't know if I should do that yet. I don't want to overflood you guys, but if you guys down for it, tell me down below, man. I can